Okay. Hello all. This is Rajneesh Khambati, and today we are going to learn the chapter tissue. Okay, this is the chapter tissue, chapter 6, and this is part 1. Part 1 basically includes plant tissue. Okay, so let's start. Let's begin. And before we begin, you have to take notebook, pen, pencil so that you can learn and you can write something in your notebook. Okay, that will help you a lot. Okay, then let's start. Part 1, plant tissue. A plant tissue, we have to first look at this chart. Remember the chart, it's important. The plant tissues are divided into two categories. The first, it's called meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. The meristematic tissue are divided again into three types: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. Okay, and meristem will be over. These are the three type of meristematic tissue. The second type is permanent tissue. The permanent tissues are divided into simple permanent tissue, simple permanent tissue. And second is complex permanent tissue. After that, the simple permanent tissue again divides into parenchyma tissue, collenchyma tissue, sclerenchyma tissue. These three tissues are called simple permanent tissue, whereas the complex tissues are only two: xylem and phloem. This is all, okay? This is all for the plant tissue. We don't have to learn more about this. Let's start. We have to start first from the morphology of a plant. Okay, what do you mean by morphology? Morphology means external study of something. Okay, the study of external characteristics is known as morphology. Over here, we are studying plant. Okay, so this is known as plant morphology because we are learning the external characters of the plant. It's called plant morphology, means how plants are looking. Okay, what do you see in the plants? It's called its morphology. Like we can see that a leaf is there, a plant has leaf. Okay, the leaf is attached to the stem. If this is stem, in the end, this is root. Okay, so three structures are there: root, stem, and leaf. Okay. So what you see, and this is morphology. The leaf, this portion of the leaf is known as petiole. Okay, petiole is basically a stalk like structure which is holding the leaf and connecting the leaf to the stem. The stalk's function is to connect the leaf with the stem. Okay, now where the petiole is attached to the stem, that base portion, okay, it's called leaf base. This is leaf base. And this portion where the leaf is exactly attached to the stem, that attachment point, okay, attachment point is known as node. So node is a region where leaf is attached. Okay, and the region between two nodes are known as internode. Like you can see, this is one node, this is another node. So this region between the two node is known as internode region. Okay, a stem. This is the stem. This is okay. Now, this portion is known as shoot tip. Okay, it's a tip of a shoot. And the similar, this is the root tip. Okay, now let's understand tissue. We have to understand the definitions of tissue. Tissue is basically composed of group of cells. Okay, now understand what is tissue. Tissue is the group of cells. Okay, when many cells together forms a group, like these are the cells, they will form a cluster together. This cluster together is now known as tissue. Okay, so group of cells is known as tissue. The great thing is these all cells in the tissue, they are having similar origin and similar function. This is very important. Otherwise, they cannot work together as a tissue. So tissue is what? 3 points you have to remember. It is a group of a cell. Okay, all the cells in the tissues are having similar origin and similar function. So tissues, they are having similar origin and similar function. This is called a tissue. Cells in the tissues are functioning in coordinated fashion, means they are working together. Sath sahakar. Okay, they are not working alone. All tissues are working together. Okay, coordinated fashion. And also they are interacting with each other. Okay, interaction is also there. Interaction means one cell is no making a connection with the another cell, and that is how two cells are in connection, like, and they will together, okay, do the function. This is called interaction and coordinated fashion. Okay, one cell if requires some material, it will take from some other cell, and so on. This is interaction between one cell and another cell. Likewise, every cells in the tissue are in coordinated fashion and also interacting with each other, and thus the tissue is functioning. Okay, thus the tissue is functioning. If these cells do not do such things, they do not coordinate with each other, the tissue cannot function. Okay, yes, let's move ahead. The first type of the tissue is meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissues are, what is their main characteristics? They are capable of cell division. They can do the cell division. Remember that. Meristem tissue means they can do the cell division. Okay, they can divide. They can divide. Hence, okay, now over here, when they divide means increase in number. Okay, increase in number of cell. Okay, they will do the cell division, and that is how they will increase the cell number. When cell number increases, yes, so when number increases, there's organ or tissues size increases. And when there is increase in the size, increase in the volume, or increase in the number of a cell, this is known as growth. When something increases, it is called as growth. So see here, hence, because it is dividing through the cell division, it is increasing the cell number, and so it gives rise to the growth of a plant. How? By increasing the cell number and size of a plant, both things will increase, and that is known as growth in the plant. That means meristematic tissue's main character is to give growth. What it will do? It will give growth. So simple. Let's see the characteristics of the meristematic tissue. These tissues are very active tissue. They have dense cytoplasm. Okay, their cytoplasm is dense. They contain thin cell wall. Their cell wall is very thin. They have prominent nucleus and they do not have vacuoles. They are devoid of vacuoles. They lack the vacuoles. These are the characters of the cells of meristematic tissue. Now, why these cells are like this? Because they have to continuously cell divide. If they have vacuoles, okay, there will be no space. Then if they have a thick cell wall, they cannot divide. So these are some reasons because of which they have such characters so that they can divide continuously. This is the feature of this cell. There are three types of the meristematic tissue: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. We will be now learning all the types of this meristematic tissue. First, apical meristem. Okay, it is the same thing written, the introduction. We will go directly to the apical meristematic tissue. Apical meristematic tissues are present at the tips of a plant, tip of a root, tip of a shoot. So wherever you can see the tip of a plant, over there always meristematic tissue is present, and meristematic tissues are known as primary meristem. They are known as primary meristem. Now let me show you in this diagram. Like you can see in this image, this is the stem image. Now you can see this small bird-like structure. This is apical meristem. So this is the tip. What is this? It's a tip of a shoot tip. And similarly, this is the root and this is the root tip. It's a root tip. Okay, so at the tip, meristematic tissues are present. Shoot tip will grow in upward direction, and that is how the stem will elongate. It becomes long in height. Okay, shoot meristem elongates in upper direction because of the meristematic tissue, and so it becomes heighted, long in size. It becomes longer. And the similar way, root tips are in the root. Okay, root tips are in the root and they will grow in downside direction. And when they grow, the root become longer. Root becomes longer in size. You see, this is the previous one. Okay, previously root is very small, but after the growth of the meristematic tissue, root becomes longer. Now you understand how plants are growing in height. Shoot meristem will grow the stem height. Root meristem will grow the root height. And that is how overall growth of a plant we can observe. So this is apical meristem. Let's move ahead. Apical meristem also can be seen into the axillary bud. This is called axillary bud. Before that, let me explain what is axillary bud. You can see this is the stem. What is this? Stem. And this is leaf attached to the to stem, and this portion is attachment of the stem. This is attachment. That node, it is known as node region. Okay, at the node region, leaf is attached, and this angle, the angle between leaf petiole and stem. Let me again erase and show you. So this is stem, it is leaf. This portion is node, attachment of the leaf, attachment of a leaf to the stem. This angle between this stem and this leaf is known as axil. It is known as axil. In this axil, you can see this is a small bird. It is bird, small bird, which will later on becomes branch. Later on becomes branch of a tree, okay, branch of a plant. This bud is known as axillary branch or axillary bud. It is known as axillary bud. I will later on come to that portion, but first you have to understand from this diagram. So this is axillary bud. Okay, now one thing I think it is clear that what is axillary bud? Axillary bud is bud growing into the axil. Now what is axil? Axil is this angle between the leaf and stem. This is called axil. In this axil, a small bud is always growing. Clear. Now let's read. You can see here, during the elongation of a stem, formations of leaf, some of the cells of apical meristem will leave behind. How axillary bud is growing. Always the growing of anything in a plant is the responsibility of meristematic tissue. Okay. How plant can grow? Simple one word answer, meristematic tissue. So over here, this bud is growing. There is a growth. How this growth is occurring? Obviously through the meristematic tissue. Now the question is from where this meristematic tissue came. So we just saw that there is apical meristematic tissue. When apical meristematic tissues grows upwards, some of the cells will leave behind by mistake, okay, or whatever the reason, but they are leaving behind some cells. Those cells will remain together, okay, and later on that portion will become stem. So those cells which are left behind of the meristematic tissue, because they have tendency to grow, and they will grow. And when they will grow in this kinds of the region, which will later on known as axillary bud, which is the part of meristematic, apical meristematic tissue. Now, this is the understanding, but you have to read this very carefully. During the elongation of a stem, formation of the leaves, some cells from apical meristem are left behind. Okay, they will be leaving some cells behind during the growth, and that cells will form the axillary bud. It will forms axillary bud. What is axillary bud? You can see in diagram, which forms axillary branch. Later on, this will become bigger. Like this is main stem. You know that plants are having some lateral branches. Okay, means one more stem will grow on some stem. This is called, okay, axillary branch. It is axillary branch, and that branch is grown from axillary bud, which is also known as lateral bud. Okay, it is also known as lateral bud, or this is known as lateral branch of a tree. So now you know how branches are growing in a plant. Okay, so 2 points are clear. One point is how plants are growing in a height. Second point is how plants are growing their branches, the side branches. Clear. Responsible for lateral growth. This axillary bud are responsible for lateral growth. Lateral means side, left and right, or surrounding. So lateral growth is responsibility of axillary branches, axillary bud. And these axillary buds will be producing the new lateral branch, which is this is a lateral branch or other parts of the plant. Normally, let's take example of a branch only right now because you are in standard 9. Okay. Okay. Now let's move ahead. I'm hoping that this point is clear for you. You can see this is the diagram. It's an image of root tip. This is root tip. It is a money whale plant. Okay. It's a money whale. Money plant. Now this plant is growing with many roots like this. You can see in images. Okay. So these roots are outside. So I am showing you this image that you can see this is root and this is looking like a tip of a root. So this is tip of the root. It's a tip of root. Everywhere you can see this is tip of root and tip is looking something different. Okay. Why? Because this is root meristematic tissue. Previously, just see in this diagram, just compare. Previously, this is a small leaf. I hope, no, okay. Do you see this? See, I'm circling. This is a root, a small root. This small root, because of the presence of the root meristem, will grow bigger like this. This is big root. So this big root is growing from this small root because of the presence of root meristematic tissue. Okay. Now, second type of meristem is called intercalary meristematic tissue. Intercalary meristematic tissue. It is location. It is present at the base of the leaves and in between the internodes. Two regions are given. At the base of leaf, in between internodes. Now, internodes. In the starting, I show you that what is internode. Again, I will tell you what is internode in node. Like this is a stem. Stem is attached to the leaf. This is one more leaf. And this portion, which is attachment point, it is known as node. This portion, attachment point, is known as node. And the region between two node, this region between two node is known as internodal region, internode region. Okay. This is one node. This is another node. This is node. This is node. Node is a region where leaf is attached. And this portion is known as internode region. Clear? Now let's move ahead. And one more thing at the base of the leaf. When leaf, the lower portion like this is the leaf, this is petiole. And this portion is known as leaf base. Okay, this is stem. And this attachment point, I will take some other color so that you do not get confused. I will take yellow color. Maybe yellow color is not visible. Let me take black color is good. You can now see this black color I am drawing. This portion is known as node. This is node, the attachment point. Okay. So that is node and this upper portion is base. Now again read this sentence. It is present at the base of leaf. Where it is present? Where you can see intercalary meristem at the base of the leaf. Means this is the base. And in between the internodal region. It is its location. Like over here in this diagram, you can see this is node. This center portion is node. Above the node, a small portion is intercalary meristem, and below the node, small portion is intercalary meristem. So likewise, it is present above and below intercalary, above and below of node. Above and below of node. You can see it is below the node. This is above the node. Okay. And this intercalary meristem will grow in the directions of this arrow. You can see this orange arrow. They will be growing in this direction, means down direction. This will be growing in upper direction. And when this intercalary meristem is growing in these directions of arrow, okay, this is the region which is becoming elongated because of this growth. Okay, because of this growth, what you can see, this growth. Okay, I will erase all the things so you can see the diagram again. Okay, and it directly you can compare here. In this picture, the node is small. And when they will be growing according to this right side direction, intercalary, okay, down and up, this internodal region will become longer. You can see this is long in the size. And this is small in the size. Now the question is how? Because they are growing upward. Okay, now this growth is, what kind of growth this is? This is the growth of height. This is the growth of height. Means plant is growing into the height. Okay, it will grow height. Okay, see, this is the portion which is very small, but later on it becomes bigger. Okay, this is node, it is node. Clear? See arrow, it shows the growth of stem in both the directions, upper direction and lower direction. This is lower direction, this is upper direction. This is how it is growing in height. Now, this is also kind of primary meristem. Let me tell you, primary meristem. Now, primary meristem means number one, apical meristem. And okay, what apical meristem is doing? Apical meristem is giving height, increase the height of a plant. And second is intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. It is also giving rise to height of a plant. Clear? That means apical meristem is giving height and intercalary is also giving rise to height of plant. So together they both make the plant longer in height. And when plant is growing in a height is known as primary growth. Clear? When plant is growing in a height, when plant become long, it is known as primary growth. And who will give primary growth? Obviously, primary meristem will grow. Primary meristem will give the growth, primary growth. Okay, clear? So the primary meristem over here, the point is clear. Okay. It is the same thing written. Intercalary meristem tissues give growth to internode region. Thus, internode, as in the picture, becomes longer, elongate in both the direction upper and lower, and so height of stem increases. It occurs in grasses, where you can see them. It occurs in grasses and regenerate the removal plant by grazing animals. When grazing animal come and eat the grass, after some time you may have seen that they are again growing. Now, why they are growing again? They can regenerate themselves. And why they can regenerate? Because they have intercalary meristem. This is grass, this is node, this is node, this is node. So if, for example, if plant is eating the plant, this upper portion is getting eaten by animal, which may contain apical meristem, and it is getting eaten. But behind this is the node. In the node, intercalary is present, and intercalary later on give growth. That is how grasses do not die even after being eaten by grazing animals. Okay. Third type is lateral meristem. Lateral meristem, they produce woody axis. What is their function? They produces the woody axis of plant. They produces wood, you can say. Okay. Appear, and lateral meristem will appear later than primary meristem. Primary meristem occurs first into plant, which will first give rise to height of a plant. After height is increased, then they will grow lateral meristem. After that is why it is known as secondary meristem, because it is coming after second number. So it's known as secondary meristem. As a result of this, plant grows in girth of the stem and width of the stem. Secondary meristem will give secondary growth. It will give secondary growth. And what is secondary growth? Secondary growth means increase in girth or width. Like this is a stem which was very small in diameter. Later on, the diameter will become bigger like this. Slowly, diameter becomes bigger. So when this height increases from small to bigger, sorry, when this girth increases from smaller to bigger, this is known as secondary growth. Means plant मोटा होता जाएगा. Clear? Plant कैसा होगा? मोटा. उसका तना मोटा होता जाएगा. Okay? So girth increases, which is also known as width increases. Clear? Okay, and where it is present, you can see like diagram. This is outer bark. Outer bark. Below bark, this red color portion, okay, what I'm trying to highlight, that portion is lateral meristem. If I draw that diagram, this is bark of a plant in red color, and below that red color, this yellow color is lateral meristem. And if I cut the section of a plant, okay, in transverse section, so what I can see is this yellow is the meristem. This is bark. Clear? So when I'm looking from side, I can see like this. Clear? This is bark. And this is meristem, which will be growing in both the directions. Like I will be showing you the arrow. It will grow in inside direction and outside direction. Both the directions. Both direction. And that is how plant will grow in width like this. It will become then bigger. Again become bigger, which is the increase of girth. Next is permanent tissue. Let's directly move to the tissue. Permanent tissues. Here, cells of meristems are initially just like meristematic tissue. Means initially, meristematic tissues are growing up. They are doing the cell division and continuously adding new cells. But later on, what is happening? These meristematic tissues will see later on they acquire a function. They will acquire a specific function and they undergoes the differentiation reaction, and then they cannot divide. And such the cell which cannot divide is known as permanent tissue. Let me again explain this. Like this is the meristematic tissue. These meristematic tissues are like meristem, means they can do cell division. Let me give you the cell division. These cells are growing, okay, and undergoes cell division. Okay, this is cell division. But this new cell will undergoes the process of differentiation. Differentiation means convert, for example, I'm just writing in simple language, convert into another type of cell. Okay. So this new cell undergoes differentiation. That means convert into other type of cell. So right now, when they convert, they are no more can be called as meristematic tissue, but any other type of tissue. So when they convert themselves into other type of cell, then they will be acquiring some function. They can do now function, any particular function. Okay. And at this time, they can't divide. This cell which cannot divide and have acquired a function undergoes differentiation is known as permanent meristematic tissue. And such cells are losing their ability to divide. This is divide, okay? Spelling mistake, divide. Divide. Clear? Differentiation is what? Cells will take up permanent size, shape, and function. Simple meaning is written. Any cell will take permanent size, shape, and function. Next is permanent tissue. Permanent tissues are called permanent because. Let me take a pen. Initially, they are just meristematic tissue and nothing else. Clear? Because they are coming from meristematic tissue. They are meristematic tissue at initial stage. So they are behaving like meristematic tissue. But what is happening that after later on, they do one thing, that is they acquire. What they acquire? They acquire a function, a specific and different function. Okay. The meristematic cells, they acquire function and they undergoes differentiation method. Differentiation. So they undergoes the differentiation. And after differentiation, now they are not known as meristematic tissue because they are turned into some other type of tissue, which is known as permanent tissue. So let me just explain what is happening that, for example, this is the tissue, a meristematic tissue. Okay, this is, I'm writing M, meristematic tissue. These meristematic tissues are continuously dividing cells. So their function is to divide, continuously divide, okay, every time. But later on, their divided cells are, okay, acquiring a function. They don't, meristematic tissue do not have any particular function other than growth. Okay. So they acquire a function and they turn into some other type of cell. They transfer into other type of cell, or they will make some other type of tissue, for example. Like they will maybe form, okay, meristem cells, for example, they form xylem, maybe they form a parenchyma, maybe they form phloem. So they can form any other type of tissue. So the phloem is different than meristematic tissue. This process is called as differentiation. What is this? Differentiation. Okay. And these cells are now known as permanent tissue because right now these cells, after acquiring the function, can't divide. They cannot divide anymore. Okay, they lose the ability to divide. And such tissues are called permanent tissue. Differentiation means cells will take up a permanent size, permanent shape, and permanent function. Okay, this is their main. See, they will take some size, turn into some shape, and they acquire a function, and they can't divide. Can't divide. Such tissues are permanent tissue. Very good. Now let's move ahead. The permanent tissues are divided into sub two types, like they are divided into simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. They are of two types, simple and permanent. Let's, okay, see the meaning of simple. We call them simple because, okay, We call them simple because they are made up of single type of the cells. Simple because single type of cell. Means all the cells in the tissues are same. For example, parenchyma tissue, parenchyma tissue, sclerenchyma tissue. Further, we are going to learn these tissues. So you will understand why they are called simple. A complex permanent tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem, and we call them complex because they are made up of more than one type of cells. Means in the tissue, it contains different type of cells. Okay, all the cells are not the same, different types of cells. And why they are called uh, complex? Okay, we are going to learn that into the next slide. So let's jump to the next part. Like first, simple permanent made up of same type. Okay, same, or let me write single type of tissue. So you can see in the diagram, first of all, that these tissues are, parenchyma tissues are circle, round, oval in a shape. You see, all the tissues are same. They have same type of cells. See how easy to draw this tissue. They are round, circle, circle. So all the cells are single type. You see, you can see all the cells are same type. So that's why they called simple. Now let's see the structure. They are round to oval in a shape. They are called isodiametric. They have intercellular space present, means they are loosely packed. Now you can see when I'm drawing two cells, so between two cells, a gap is there. Okay, this gap. You can see this arrow. This is a gap. This is the gap. This, this is the gap. This is the gap. Okay, this is the gap. So there is a gap. This gap is known as intercellular space. These cells have thin cell wall. Okay, they have thin cell wall. And these cells are living cells. Remember this, permanent tissues are called living tissue. Okay, they have living cells. And their function is to support to the plant and storage of the food. It is their main two function. Okay, let's move ahead. Location of the parenchyma tissue is epidermis, cortex, pericycle, pith region. Okay, these are the places you can see them, and they are also present into the stem, root, fruit, and flower of the plant. So basically you can see them everywhere. Then there are types of the parenchyma, like there is chlorenchyma. So chlorenchymas are present in mesophyll as ground. This is an ground tissue of the leaves. Now let me make this clear. Like this is the leaf, for example. It is a leaf upper epidermis. This is leaf lower epidermis. Okay, upper layer. Okay, this is lower epidermis. This is upper epidermis. Means upside and downside. Now, in between them, the whole tissue of the leaf is known as mesophyll. It is known as mesophyll. And these mesophyll cells are all parenchyma. They are all type is parenchyma. They are parenchyma. But in addition, these parenchyma contain chlorophyll, chloroplast. They contains chloroplast, and so they are known as chlorenchyma. Okay, simple. The parenchyma when contains chloroplast are known as chlorenchyma, and when they have chloroplast, simply they will be doing photosynthesis. Okay, what they do? They do photosynthesis. Clear? So what is mesophyll and what is chlorenchyma? Now the next is arenchyma. Arenchymas means air present. They have big air cavity, and when big air cavities are there, it will give buoyancy to the plant. And these tissues are normally present into aquatic plant, into the water. And you may have seen that these aquatic plants like lotus, okay, they have buoyancy. They are floating onto the water because of the arenchyma, parenchyma tissue. They can float, that is known as buoyancy. Okay. A second type of simple tissue is collenchyma. Second type, it's called collenchyma. Now, collenchyma is also same like parenchyma. Like, let's see the difference. They have round to oval, elongated, polygonal shaped cells. Means shape is almost same like parenchyma, round to polygonal, elongated. They have not, okay, intercellular space. They are devoid of intercellular space, or the space is absent. You can see this blue color structure between two white cells. This is cell. This is cell. And between two cells, this is the gap. But this gap is filled by some, okay, material. You can see. And that is why the gap is absent, which is known as intercellular space. So the intercellular space is absent due to depositions of pectin. Now this material which is packing inside is pectin. The pectin. If I just draw, this is one cell, this is another cell, okay, like this, the same like parenchyma. Now you can see this gap. Gap between two cell will be getting filled by pectin. So you have to fill this gap because the gap is not present. Okay, clear? What is this? This is pectin. Okay. They have also same like parenchyma, thin cell wall. Okay, they too have thin cell wall. They are also living cells. So you can see that parenchyma, collenchyma are almost similar, except this pectin, intercellular space. Their location beneath the epidermis of dicot stem. Okay, beneath the epidermis of the dicot stem. Then into the petiole of leaf. Okay, petiole means that stalk-like structure holding the leaf is petiole. This is petiole. So in that petiole, it is present. In venation of the leaves means leaf veins. You can see leaf is having some veins like structure like this. It is called as leaf veins. So in that vein, also the collenchyma is present. And into the young part of the plant, like young stem, when the stem is young, okay, at that time, this is present. So into this leaf petiole, this is the petiole, in this petiole and young stem. Over there, they are present. Let's see what is their function. They provide support to the part where they are present. Like they are present into leaf, for example. This is the leaf. It is petiole where it is present. So this portion, okay, is flexible. This portion is flexible. Okay. Similarly, the young stem is also flexible. Why? Because of collenchyma, and they provide support. Then they also perform photosynthesis if they possess the chloroplast. Like this petiole and the leaf, okay, they possess chloroplast. So they will be doing the photosynthesis. So first, they provide flexibility to the plant. Okay, I forgot to mention here, but you have to understand. They are providing flexibility to the plant. It is the thing because of which a stem is flexible. Like you can see, if you try to bend the stem, or if you try to pull the leaf, okay, it will not directly be broken. Okay, it will be showing some flexibility, and that flexibility is because of the collenchyma. So they are providing flexibility. Okay. Then they perform photosynthesis if they have the chloroplast, and they also store food, which is their function. Okay. So you can see this, what you see, okay, this is what it's a stem. It is the section of stem. This is TS, transverse section of the stem, where this portion, look at my pen, what I am drawing, this portion is called epidermis. This portion is epidermis, the outer portion. And just below the epidermis, you can see from here to here. This portion is collenchyma. You can see very clearly. This dark portion is depositions of pectin. And in between cells are there. You can see very clearly. They are looking literally different. And these tissues are, okay, see circle, circle, circle like structure. It is parenchyma. Okay. So collenchyma is already over. Now the next portion, which is sclerenchyma tissue. Structurally, they are polygonal in a shape. You can see in this diagram, they are polygonal in the shape. They do not possess intercellular space. They don't have space. Same like collenchyma. Due to depositions of lignin. But over here, the deposition is of lignin, not of pectin. And where it is getting deposited? Inside. Okay. So if I just draw the cell, this is that hexagonal polygonal cell. This is the cell wall of the sclerenchyma. This sclerenchyma cell wall will deposit lignin, but inside. So let me just put that lignin inside of a cell. And because of this depositions of the lignin, you can see this cell wall is becoming more, it is not thin. See, it is not thin. It is more in width. See, okay. So it is thick. It is thick. And it is thick because of depositions of lignin inside. Lignin inside. And because of that, the cell wall becomes thick. And because of that, the lumen is very small. Now, what is lumen? The center portion, this is called as lumen. Okay, lumen. So you can see here, because the lignin is deposited inside, the center portion is very, very small. Okay, so lumen is small. Clear? Again, the cell is hexagonal. Inside, they will deposit lignin, because of which cell wall become thick. The lumen is small. Okay. And they do not have intercellular space from the diagram. Location. They are present as the semilunar patches or maybe continuous layer into dicot stem section. If I cut the section of a dicot stem under the microscope, we can see them. Okay, I am going to show you that section under the microscope so that you can understand. Secondly, they also present into hypodermis of monocot stem. See, they are also in dicot stem, also in monocot stem. But in dicot, they are as semilunar patches, and in monocot, they are below the hypodermis. Sorry, they are present in the hypodermis. They are forming the hypodermis. and their function is to provide mechanical strength. Because of this only, wood is wood. Okay, the wood is wood, or the stem is so strong. So that strength is coming from the sclerenchyma tissue. See, this is sclerenchyma. You can see, looks like semilunar patches. Okay, and this portion is xylem, and this portion is phloem. Okay, so xylem is also there, phloem is also there, and this is sclerenchyma. This is sclerenchyma. And actually, this is a section of dicot stem. Okay, this is dicot stem section. It is dicot stem section. So this is called a semilunar patch. Let me show you. See what is written as a semilunar patches into dicot stem, and it is this semilunar patch. Okay, let's move ahead. This is the diagram. So a diagram of a sclerenchyma. You just can draw like this. Okay, and then make this color and write it is lignin. Next portion is tissue system of plant. In the plant, we can see only three tissue system. One is called epidermal tissue system. Second is called ground tissue system. And third is called vascular tissue system. Now, epidermal tissue system means this outer portion. This outer portion. It is called as epidermis. Then this whole inside the epidermis, whole portion. This whole portion, empty portion, is known as ground tissue system. Like if I just draw, I'm drawing is epidermis. In this epidermis, the whole portion is known as ground tissue. And in between, there is xylem, phloem are present. These circles are xylem and phloem. I'm just writing X over here to show. So this is xylem phloem, which is known as vascular bundle. Clear? So in between, the region that is present in between the xylem and the phloem and epidermis system, this system. Okay, this is known as ground tissue. Clear? Ground tissue, basically what it do? It is just filling the gap. It is filling gap. Let's see everything. Epidermis. It is present in all the three parts of a plant. Means epidermis is there into leaf, into stem, into root. Now, epidermis simply means outer protection. Outer protective structure. Outer protective structure is called epidermis. Just like we have a skin in the whole body. Similarly, it is, okay, this can be called as plant skin. Okay, skin of a plant. It is the outermost layer. Epidermis is outermost layer. Because of that, it can do the protection, and it is protective layer. It is usually made up of a single layer of cell. Okay, it is made up of single layer of cell. If I just draw it like this, a single layer. In the previous diagram, I show you. Okay, let me show you again so that you can understand. This, sorry, not this one. Yeah, this is epidermis. You see, it is very outer side and single layer. Okay, single layer. So this is epidermis. Okay. Cells of the epidermal tissues forms a continuous layer without intercellular space. You can see in this diagram, there is no space. Most epidermal cells are relatively flat. You can again see in the diagram, they are flat kind of structure. If I look from above, if I look from here, what I can see is like this. Okay, they are flat structure. They are the flat, they are flat structure. Often their outer and side walls are thicker than the inner wall. Okay, the outside wall or side wall will be thicker. See, I will use some other color to show this. Let me take green color. Okay, like outer wall means this is outer wall. So this outer wall will be thick. Thick. Why? Because it is outside. Its function is to protect, and that is why that wall is thick. And also side wall. Side walls means this side wall. This is a side wall. The wall which is touching to each other is side wall. So these walls are thick, but other walls are thin. In some plants living in very dry habitat, when the plants are living in such habitat like dry habitat, their epidermis will be thicker so that they can stop the water loss. Okay, just imagine the plants which are living in xerophytic condition, they do not get water and they are losing water. What will happen? They are going to die. But it is not normally happening because those plants living in xerophytic condition means kind of desert condition where the water is scarce, okay, low. In them, their epidermis cells are very, very thicker. And why it is so? So that they can stop the loss of water. Epidermal cells of the aerial part of a plant often secrete a waxy material on their outer surface. Like, again, I will take some other color to show you. Okay, like this black color. So on outside, like this, a waxy material is present on the epidermis. And this waxy material will help to prevent the water loss. This aid in protection against the loss of water, mechanical injury, and invasion from the parasitic fungus. Means it is ultimately protecting. Now you see epidermis is present in whole plant. It is present into root, means root protection. Then it is present into stem, so stem is protected, and also into leaf, so leaf is also protected. Means the whole plant is protected by epidermis, like you have a skin. Next is epidermis of the leaf. On the leaf epidermis, we can observe small pores. Here, there, okay. First, let's clear this one idea. They have a pore. If I draw a leaf like this, on this leaf, okay, this is what you see is called its surface. On this surface, they have small pore-like structure. Okay, like this, they have a pore. These are called small pore. And if I look this pore under the microscope, I can see it looks like this. It has two kidney-shaped structure, which is known as guard cells. In the center, there is a pore present called stomatal pore, and the guard cells are surrounded by some helper accessory cells like this. This is their nucleus, and they also have big. Let me draw it. They have this structure also, vacuoles, okay, like this. So this structure is called as stomata. This is called stomata. What is this? Stomata. And that stomata are present in high amount, in high number on this surface of the leaf. The stomata can be present on upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis. For this, I have some other video where I am showing that how to see stomata under microscope. Okay, you can refer that video if you want to if you are eager to see this, that what it is. Otherwise, if you can understand this one small thing, it is enough for you. See, stomatas are enclosed by two kidney-shaped cells called guard cells. They are necessary for exchanging of the CO2 and oxygen, and it is their function. So what basically they do? See from the diagram. I will take some other color again. Like from this, oxygen will come out, and along with the oxygen, water also comes out in the vapor form, which is known as transpiration. When water is getting lost by the stomata in a vapor form into atmosphere is known as transpiration. From this diagram, when water comes out, it is known as transpiration. So oxygen and water is coming out. At the same time, plant requires CO2 for photosynthesis. So the CO2 will enter inside through the stomata. So this is the portion, it is the place, it is the location from where exchange of the gases occurs. That means CO2 enter inside the leaf and O2 and H2O exit the leaf through the stomata. Okay. So it is called as transpiration, means loss of water in the form of water vapor. Also takes place through the stomata. Now epidermal cells of the root. Now root also have the epidermis. So root epidermis' function is to absorb the water from the soil, because roots are inside the soil and it is their function to absorb water. And they have long hair-like parts which increase the total absorptive surface area of the root so that they can absorb more water. Like if I just draw it, this is the epidermis of root. And some roots will be having cells like this. Okay, this is known as root hair. It is root hair. And these roots hair will be doing water absorption. It is their function to help in water absorption. Okay, this is what epidermis of the, yes, root. Okay, let's move further. In some plants, like the desert plant, epidermis has thick waxy coating, which is known as cutin. Okay, that coating, I show you the black color, it is called cutin, which helps in water prevention. Okay, loss of water through the transpiration. And this cutin layer will be always outside of the leaf on its outer surface. Epidermis of the outer layer of a branch means tree is different from the outer layer of the young stem. Means, may you have seen different plants. Some plants stems are looking green in color, and okay, some plant young stem means it is green in color and also soft. Okay, if you try to catch them between your two fingers, okay, and if you give some pressure, you can break them with your fingers. It is that much soft. So, and they are green in color. So that green means they can do the photosynthesis. So when they are green and they are soft to touch, they are called young stem. Okay, and they are they are doing photosynthesis. But when this same young stem becomes bigger, mature, okay, they are now not green. They are not green. And can you press them with your fingers? No. Okay, you can break your hands, but they won't break. So they are hard. They are hard. Their outer surface is also very hard. Because of that only they are hard. And similarly in the young stem, as a plant grows older, other protective tissue undergoes certain changes. Now there will be some changes occurring into the plant as they grow, like we are growing similarly. A strip of secondary meristem located in the cortex in the forms of layers of cells constitute the core. Now, what is happening? I will draw this so that you can understand. Like as it is growing old, after they grow old, this is the section of a stem. Slowly inside, like this, a small portion is growing. This portion is known as secondary meristem. This is secondary meristem, which will be later on helping into the cork formation. It will later on forms the cork outside. Okay, because it is going to add the cells inside and outside. Now it's a long story over here, so we are not going to discuss, but this is the story, okay? Simplest for you to understand that what it is. Again, let me tell you, this is the section of a stem, okay? And inside, just below the bark, this outside portion, just below it, okay, a cork is present, which is called as cambium, cork cambium. Now, cells of the cork are dead cells, remember this, and compactly arranged without intercellular space. They do not have space. They are very compactly arranged each other. They also have substances called suberin in their walls. Okay, the cells of the cork have suberin in their walls. The suberin is making them impervious to gases and water. Means water cannot pass through these cells because of suberin. Ground tissue. Ground tissue means, remember, ground tissue is between the epidermis and xylem and phloem. This portion, okay, I am highlighting right now that portion which is in between the xylem phloem and this epidermis is known as ground tissue. Means this gap, this whole gap, this whole gap. So ground tissue is supporting and present between the epidermis and vascular tissue. Ground tissue is filling gap between epidermis and vascular bundle, that gap. It consists of parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. So this ground tissue is made up of all the three type of cells: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. You can see all the cells here. Vascular tissue are xylem and phloem that are called complex tissue. Okay. Just after this, we are going to learn this. So let's go. The next portion is called complex tissue. Now, if you remember that complex because they are made up of more than one. More than one type of cells. So they are called as complex. The different type of tissues we have discussed until now all are made up of only one type. Like we discussed about parenchyma, sclerenchyma, and collenchyma, where all the cells in the tissues are same. Like if I just draw, this is parenchyma, where all the cells are looking round, oval. So all are same. Okay, and so they are called as one type of cells, simple tissue. Such tissues are called simple permanent tissue. Yet another type of permanent tissue is called complex tissue, and this is our main topic. We call them complex because they are made up of more than one type of cells. They are made up of more than one type, means the cells will be looking different than each other. All these cells coordinate to perform common function, means they will together. Though they are different cells, but they work together. Like number one, xylem. Example is xylem and phloem. They are the example of complex tissue. Their function is to conducting water and food. Okay, their main function is to conduction. They are conducting tissue. Conducting means transportation. They are doing transportation. And what they are transporting? So they are transporting water and food and mineral. Okay. Vascular tissue is a distinctive feature of the complex plant. In the complex plant or in higher plant, only possess the vascular bundle. The lower plants do not possess vascular bundle. One that has made possible their survival into the terrestrial environment. Okay, these plants can survive under all conditions, like water is there, high water is there, low water is there, etc. Okay, so they can survive under all such conditions because of xylem and phloem are present inside them. So this is the xylem tissue. Xylem is consist of, okay, it is complex. Complex because you can see it is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4 type of cells. Like number one is called trachea. A trachea and the vessels are thick walled cells. Okay, they have thick walls. And many of them are dead cells. They are dead cells when mature. Tracheads are tubular structure. They are tube-like structure. If I draw, it is just tube-like structure. That's it. This tube is known as tubular structure, the tracheads. Diagram is backside, so we have to see the this theory first. Vessels. Vessels are tubular structure. Again, it is same tubular pipe-like structure. This allows them to transport water, minerals vertically, means from downside to upside, vertically. It is called vessel. Xylem parenchyma. The parenchyma will store the food, and xylem fiber. Fiber mainly supportive in the function. Let's see the diagram. So you can just a second. Like this, what you see in front of you is called vessel cells. What is this? Tube. It is a tube. These your simple terms. Tubes. Tube cells. Okay, it is the tube cells. And these are perforated plates on them. And this structure, which is with the two ends which are tapered, okay, and many perforation. These are called tracheads. And this is called fiber cell. This is the fiber cell. Fiber because it is long, okay, it is elongated, long cell. See, thin and long. It is a fiber, literally like your hair, okay? And so they are known as fiber cells. These three different tissues are together forming one xylem. And that is the reason we call it complex. The last phloem tissue. A phloem is made up of 5 type of cells like sieve plate and sieve cells. Or over here, sieve plate cells. Okay, you can sieve plate directly. Sieve tube. Sieve tubes are again tube-like structure, which are the called tubular cells with perforated cells. Same like before. Okay, just draw the tube. This tube is called tubular cells called sieve tube. And above the sieve tube, perforation is there, like you can see in this diagram. This is called as sieve plate. This is called as sieve plate. Then there is companion cell. A companion cell is always accompanying the tube cell. This is companion cell. Okay. Companion cell have the nucleus, and companion cell will control all the activities of tube cells. Okay. It will control the activity of tube cells or sieve cells, which is known as over here sieve tubes. Okay, to be correct. A phloem fiber, dead sclerenchyma tissue. We just saw the same fiber, okay, like this fiber cells, and they are dead cells. Okay, fibers are dead over here in the phloem, and phloem parenchyma. This is parenchyma. Parenchyma is living tissue. In a phloem, transports food and from the leaves. Okay, it will help in food transportation to the other part of the plant, from leaf to other plant. Okay, phloem parenchyma helps in food transportation from leaf to other part. Except phloem fiber, other phloem cells are living cells. Okay, phloem fibers only are the dead cells. Okay, only these are dead cells. All others are living, like sieve plate, sieve tube, companion cell, phloem parenchyma. All are living tissue. Okay, so I think, okay, this is the diagram. This is the diagram. This is tube-like structure called sieve tube. On tube and below the tube, sieve plate is there. And just beside them, these are phloem parenchyma. And this, which is near the sieve tube, is companion cell. Okay. So this is it. This is the, okay, let me write very nicely. The end, and thank you. If you have any doubt, query, questions, you can comment. Okay. Bye bye. See you and tata.